The coffee in my hand cost $4.50. The email on my screen was about to cost me everything I'd built over 12 years. Subject line, compensation review mandatory meeting 2 p.m. I'm Henry Litchfield, 43 years old, 12 years at Crestline Solutions, divorced father of one son who depends on me for everything from rent to college savings. Read the email twice. Corporate language always hides bad news behind professional words. Compensation review never means raise, means they're taking something and calling it progress. Watched it happen to others. Rebecca from sales last spring, David from operations 6 months before that. Good people walked into offices looking confident, came out looking destroyed. Now my turn. Closed the laptop. Checked the time. 1:47 p.m., 13 minutes until whatever came next. My son Jake didn't know yet. 16 years old, starting to think about colleges, dreaming about engineering programs at schools that cost $60,000 a year, counting on his dad to keep promises made after the divorce 5 years back. The divorce happened because I worked too much, because providing became my identity, because I thought loyalty to a company meant security for my family. Turns out I was wrong about a lot of things. Grabbed my phone, walked toward HR like a man heading to his own funeral. The HR office smelled like industrial cleaner and recycled air. White walls, gray carpet, motivational posters about teamwork that nobody believed. Dennis Carter sat behind the desk. HR director, early 40s, always wore ties that cost more than my weekly groceries. Next to him sat Patricia Owens, new COO brought in 8 months ago from some consulting background. The kind of executive who'd never built anything but loved tearing things apart. Henry, Dennis said, voice dripping practiced sympathy. Thanks for coming. Like I had a choice. Sat down. Kept my back straight. If this was happening, I wouldn't look weak. Dennis slid a folder across the desk. We've completed a comprehensive compensation analysis across all departments. Comprehensive analysis. Code for. We hired people who've never done your job to tell us you're overpaid. After careful consideration, Patricia added, first time she'd spoken, we're implementing salary adjustments to bring compensation in line with current market standards. Opened the folder. Read the first page. Then read it again because my brain refused to process what my eyes were seeing. Current salary, $112,000. New salary, $35,000. The room went quiet except for the hum of fluorescent lights and my own heartbeat hammering in my ears. $35,000 a year. That was a 69% cut, more than I'd spent on Jake's expenses for the last 2 years combined. Looked up at Dennis. His face showed nothing. Professional, blank slate. This has to be wrong, I said. Kept my voice level despite everything inside me screaming. It's not wrong, Patricia said. Eyes on her tablet, not on me. This reflects appropriate market positioning for your role. My role hasn't changed. I'm still managing 6 major accounts, still generating 35% of this department's revenue, still the one clients call when systems fail at 3 a.m. Dennis cleared his throat. Your responsibilities will be adjusted accordingly. Adjusted how? That will be determined over the next 90 days. So they were cutting my salary by nearly 70% and hadn't even figured out what I'd be doing. That told me everything. What's my alternative? I asked. Dennis blinked. Alternative? Accept this or resign. So what happens if I don't accept? Then we'd consider it a voluntary resignation, Patricia said. Still not looking at me. There it was. Accept poverty wages or quit without unemployment benefits. Either way, they won. I need time to consider this. We need your decision by end of business today, Patricia said. 5 o'clock. Stood up. Picked up the folder. Walked out without another word. Made it to the parking garage before everything crashed down. Sat in my car, engine off, staring at concrete walls. $35,000 a year. That was roughly $2,900 a month before taxes. Maybe $2,200 after. Rent was $1,400. That left $800 for everything else. Food, utilities, insurance, gas, Jake's expenses. The math didn't work. Couldn't work, not with a teenage son counting on me. Phone buzzed. Text from Jake. Dad, Need $50 for the robotics club supplies. Due tomorrow. Stared at that message. $50. Yesterday I wouldn't have thought twice. Now it felt impossible. I'll get it. Don't worry. But I was worrying. Running calculations that made my stomach turn. Sat there for 90 minutes watching other people walk to their cars, watching the afternoon light change, watching my entire life recalculate itself. 12 years. I'd given Crestline 12 years. Started in 2013. Small company trying to compete with established players. 30 employees, everyone working overtime because we believed in the mission. Hired as junior account manager. $28,000 a year. No real benefits. Just opportunity to prove myself. I proved myself. First year landed Morrison Technologies. $250,000 contract that kept operations running when we would have folded otherwise. Second year brought in Garrett Industries, then Riverside Manufacturing, then Thornton Systems. By 2016, I managed accounts representing 40% of our revenue. I was the one clients trusted. The one who showed up at 6 in the morning and left at 10 at night, because that's what it took. Also went through my divorce. Watched my marriage collapse while trying to keep my career together. My ex-wife couldn't handle the hours, couldn't handle that work consumed me, couldn't handle being second priority. She left. Moved across the country. Sends birthday cards to Jake sometimes. Calls on holidays. I became everything. Father. Provider. Stable parent. The one who showed up to robotics competitions and school conferences running on 4 hours of sleep and too much coffee. Then Silverbridge Capital bought us in 2020. Private equity. Should have been my warning. They came in talking about growth and resources and scaling. CEO stood in front of everyone saying nothing would change, how they valued what we'd built, how this was about giving us tools to expand. What they meant was consultants, layoffs, squeezing every dollar before flipping the company. Started quiet. Administrative staff first. Then operations. Then support roles. Always the same corporate language. Restructuring. Right-sizing. Optimization. My team went from 7 people to 2. Work didn't shrink, just got dumped on whoever remained, handled client emergencies at 1 in the morning, covered positions that didn't exist, explained failures I hadn't been briefed on because nobody was left to brief anyone, did it because I had Jake counting on me, because walking away at 43 with no guarantees felt impossible, because loyalty was supposed to mean something, turned out it meant nothing, pulled out my original contract from my bag, grabbed it from my desk before the meeting. Something told me I'd need it. Read through it carefully. Found what I remembered but hadn't thought about in years. Section 7. In the event of compensation reduction exceeding 20%, employee may terminate employment without penalty and without standard notice requirements. 20%. They'd cut me by 69%. I didn't have a non-compete clause. Never signed one. Crestline had been too small back then to worry about legal restrictions. They'd operated on trust. Their mistake. Didn't need to steal files or download client lists. The information was in my head. 12 years of relationships. Knowing that Morrison's CEO had daughters in college. Understanding that Garrett was frustrated with response times. Having built enough trust that people called me directly instead of going through channels. That wasn't stolen property. That was earned reputation. Sat there making a decision that would change everything. Phone rang. Unknown number. Almost didn't answer. Henry Litchfield. Yeah. This is Julian Brooks, VP of Client Services at Horizon Ridge. Sat up straighter. Horizon Ridge. Crestline's biggest competitor. The company we'd been fighting for market share against for years. I know who you are, I said carefully. Good. Then you know we've been watching you for a while. Stomach tightened. Watching me? Your client retention rate is 94% over 5 years. In this industry, that's exceptional, especially considering the chaos you've been dealing with. How do you know about that? We make it our business to know. Every time we've approached one of Crestline's major accounts, they've said the same thing. We're not leaving while Henry's there. You're not just managing clients. You're the only reason they haven't walked, didn't respond, didn't know what to say. I'm guessing you just came from an HR meeting, Julian continued, voice calm, professional, and I'm guessing they made you an offer that felt more like an insult. How did you? Because we've been expecting it. We know what Silverbridge does. Cut veteran salaries, force attrition, replace experience with cheaper labor. Seen them do it at 3 other firms in the last 18 months. Hands were shaking. Why are you calling me? Because we want to make you an offer before you make any decisions you can't reverse. Can you meet tomorrow morning? 7 a.m., Riverside Cafe on Ashford Street. Should say no. Should tell him I needed time. Should probably report this. But I was 43 with a son and a salary offer of $35,000 that wouldn't cover rent. I'll be there. Good. Breakfast on us. He hung up. Stared at my phone like it might explode. Drove home on autopilot. Parked outside our apartment. Didn't get out. Just sat there watching the lights in our second-floor unit. Jake was home. Doing homework probably. Living his normal teenage life. Didn't know his dad was trying to figure out how to make $800 stretch for a month. Couldn't tell him yet. Couldn't walk in there and explain that everything might change. Phone buzzed. Text from my brother Thomas. How'd it go? Told him about the HR meeting this morning. He'd sent 3 texts telling me to stay calm. Bad. Really bad. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. How bad? They offered me $35K. Dots stayed there forever. Finally. That's criminal. Probably not. They can adjust compensation. I either take it or quit. Henry, you can't survive on that. I know. What are you going to do? Stared at that question. Cursor blinking. Meeting with Horizon Ridge tomorrow morning. Response came immediately. Do it. And don't look back. Got out of the car. Grabbed my bag. Walked upstairs like everything was normal. Jake was at the kitchen table doing calculus homework. Looked up when I came in. How was work? Fine, I lied. Long day. How was school? He launched into a story about his robotics project. Normal kid stuff. Normal evening. Made dinner. Helped with homework. Did all the dad things while my brain ran calculations in the background. After Jake went to bed, sat at the kitchen table with my laptop. Pulled up Horizon Ridge's website. Read everything. Client list. Leadership team. Company values. Press releases. Reviews. Spent 3 hours learning everything I could. By midnight, I knew what I needed to know. Horizon Ridge was stable, well-funded, better managed than Crestline. They'd been growing steadily while Silverbridge gutted my company from the inside. Julian Brooks had a reputation for building strong teams, for valuing experience over cheap labor, for understanding that relationships were built over years. Closed my laptop, poured myself whiskey I didn't drink, just held it while staring at the wall, trying to figure out if I was about to make the smartest or stupidest decision of my life. Phone buzzed. Email from Dennis. Subject: Decision required Cobb today. Just a reminder that we need your response to this afternoon's compensation adjustment by 5 p.m. today. Please confirm your acceptance via reply to this email. Looked at the time. 12:47 a.m. Technically tomorrow. Technically, past deadline. Didn't respond. Set my phone down. Went to bed. Sleep didn't come. Kept running numbers. Kept seeing Jake's face when I'd tell him we couldn't afford the engineering camp he wanted. Kept hearing him ask why things had to change. At 5:30, gave up. Made coffee. Sat in the dark living room watching sunrise over the city. At 6:15, got dressed. Khakis, button down. Blazer. Professional, but not desperate. At 6:55, pulled into the CAF parking lot. Black sedan already there. At 7 exactly, walked inside. Julian Brooks was in a corner booth. Late 40s, casual button down, reading glasses while looking at his tablet. Saw me, stood up, extended his hand. Henry, thanks for coming. Handshake was firm. Confident, slid into the booth. Coffee already waiting. Black, no sugar. How do you know how I take it? We do our homework, he said with a slight smile. But also, Thomas might have mentioned it. Froze. Thomas? Your brother. He's been working with one of our senior analysts on a project for 6 months. He called me yesterday after you texted him about the $35,000. Didn't know what to say. He vouched for you, Julian continued. Said you've been getting screwed at Crestline for years. Said you're too loyal for your own good. Said you're one of the best in the industry and they're idiots. Sounds like Thomas. He's right. Waitress came, took our order, left. Julian pulled out a folder. Set it on the table. Here's what I want you to know. This isn't charity. This isn't swooping in because we heard you got screwed. We've wanted you at Horizon Ridge for 2 years. Yesterday just gave us the opening. Slid the folder across. Opened it. First page, base salary $155,000. Stopped reading. Looked up. That's more than I was making. I know. Keep reading. Performance bonus tied to retention and growth. Full benefits package. 4 weeks bateau. At the bottom, signing bonus $20,000. Had to read that 3 times. Why so much? Because you're worth it, Julian said simply. Because we've watched you hold Crestline's client base together while they cut you off at the knees. Because we don't just want to hire you. We want to hire what you represent. Someone who actually gives a damn. He leaned forward. Henry, we're not Silverbridge. We're not private equity vultures. We're operators. We build things, and we want you to help us build. Closed the folder. Kept my hand on it. There's something you should know. I'm not coming alone. Julian raised an eyebrow. Explain. I have 2 people still at Crestline, Amanda Lopez and Robert Kane. Both solid, both getting squeezed the same way. If I come to Horizon Ridge, I need to know there's room for them. Didn't hesitate. Already planned on it. We'll have offers ready by end of week. That's when I knew this was real. I'll give you my answer by noon. Take your time. Before I stood, he said one more thing. You should know we've been hearing things about Silverbridge's plans for Crestline. What kind of things? Full offshore transition within 18 months. They're forcing attrition to avoid severance. That salary cut? Phase 1. They're betting you'll quit so they can replace you with someone making $20,000 overseas. Stomach dropped. That's confirmed? 2 sources. We've seen the vendor contracts. This was it. Cut salaries until people quit. Offshore everything. Save millions. Never explain why 12-year veterans weren't worth keeping. Stood up. Folder in hand. I'll call you by noon. Didn't go home. Drove straight to Crestline. Pulled into the lot at 8:30. Badge still worked. Receptionist gave me a look but said nothing. Took the elevator up. Walked past cubicles where people suddenly found their screens fascinating. Dennis's office was at the end. Door open. He was typing. Knocked once. Walked in. He looked up. Surprise shifted to concern. Henry, I was expecting your email. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. He sat back. Okay. Is Silverbridge planning to offshore the entire client services department within the next 18 months? His jaw tightened. That's not something I can discuss. That's a yes. You just confirmed it. I didn't confirm anything. Pulled out my original contract. Set it on his desk. Section 7. Compensation reduction exceeding 20% allows termination without penalty or notice period. He picked it up. Read it. Face went pale. Henry, let's not be hasty. I'm resigning. Effective immediately. You can't just walk out. Yes, I can. Pointed to the contract in his hands. That's my signature. That's the language you gave me 12 years ago. I'm using it. You'll be hearing from legal. For what? I haven't taken files. Haven't forwarded documents. Haven't copied proprietary information. All I'm taking is my reputation. The relationships I built over 12 years. That's mine. Dennis stood. Henry, think about what you're doing. You have a son. You have bills. Don't, I said. Voice harder than I meant. Don't you dare bring Jake into this. You cut my salary by 69% and expected me to smile. You don't get to lecture me about responsibility. Where will you even go? Didn't answer. Just turned toward the door. This is a mistake, he said. Stopped. Looked back. No. The mistake was thinking loyalty was a one-way street. The mistake was believing 12 years would mean something. The mistake was yours. Walked out. Didn't pack anything. Didn't stop at my desk. Didn't say goodbye. Just walked to the elevator, down to the lot, into my car, started the engine, pulled out for the last time. By the time I hit the main road, my hands were steady, and I could breathe. Called Julian from the car. I'm in. When do I start? Monday work? Monday works. Welcome to Horizon Ridge, Henry. Hung up. Drove toward home. Stopped at the bank. Picked up groceries. Bought the good coffee I usually said was too expensive. Got back to the apartment around noon. Jake was at school. Place was quiet. Sat at the kitchen table. Opened my laptop. Started writing. Subject: moving forward. After 12 years with Crestline Solutions, I've decided to pursue a new opportunity. Effective immediately, I'll be joining Horizon Ridge as Senior Director of Client Services. I want to thank each of you for the trust you've placed in me over the years. Those relationships have meant everything, and I hope we can continue working together in my new role. If you'd like to discuss transition options, please don't hesitate to reach out directly. With gratitude, Henry Litchfield. Hit send before I could second guess. Then, waited. Responses started within the hour. First from Daniel Morrison at Morrison Technologies. Henry, congratulations. We've been frustrated with Crestline's service decline for months. Can we schedule a call this week to discuss moving our contract? Second from Elizabeth Garrett at Garrett Industries. About time. Let's talk Monday about transitioning our account. We follow you, not the company. Third, fourth, fifth. By 3 p.m. I had responses from 9 of my 11 major accounts. All wanted to move to Horizon Ridge. All had been waiting for me to make the jump. Phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Litchfield, this is Patricia Owens. We need to discuss your unauthorized client communications. I didn't send anything unauthorized. I sent a professional notice of employment change. Standard practice. You're attempting to solicit our clients. No. I'm informing people I've worked with for years that I'm changing companies. What they choose to do is up to them. We'll be pursuing legal action. For what? I haven't violated my agreement. I don't have a non-compete. I haven't taken proprietary information. Check with your legal team before making threats you can't back up. Silence. Then, she hung up. Sat there for a minute, started laughing. Not because it was funny, because for the first time in years I wasn't the one scrambling, wasn't the one trying to hold things together, wasn't the one taking hits and pretending it was fine. Phone rang again. Julian. Henry. I'm looking at my email. Did you just? I sent a notice to my clients. Professional courtesy about my transition. Quiet for a second. 9 of them have already reached out about moving their contracts. I know. Do you understand what this means? This is $6 million in annual contracts. I know. I need you to come in today. We need to talk logistics, timeline, support. This is bigger than anticipated. I'll be there in an hour. Next week was chaos. Good chaos, the kind where you're building instead of watching things fall apart. Horizon Ridge set me up in an office with windows, gave me a team of 3, good people who wanted to be there. Amanda and Robert both got offers by Wednesday, both accepted by Thursday. Both gave notice Friday. Contracts started moving. Morrison first, then Garrett, then Riverside, Thornton. One by one, my clients made the jump. Crestline's legal team sent threatening letters. Horizon Ridge's legal team responded. They couldn't prove anything because I hadn't done anything wrong. Heard through the network that Dennis got reassigned to some internal role. Corporate speak for getting pushed out. Patricia resigned 3 weeks later. Rumor was she'd botched the transition, and Silverbridge wanted someone to blame. 6 weeks in, Julian called me into his office. I've been looking at your metrics. Client retention at 97%. Revenue from your accounts up 15%. Team satisfaction highest in the company. Didn't know what to say. Just nodded. He slid another folder across. We'd like to promote you to VP of Client Strategy. 40,000 raise. Expanded team. Full decision authority. Opened it. Read through. Looked up. Why? Because you've proven in 6 weeks what we knew all along. You're exceptional. And we want to build around that. Took the promotion. Started 2 weeks later. Team grew to 9 people. Actually got to hire instead of watching positions disappear. 3 months after leaving Crestline, got a call from unknown number. Mr. Litchfield, this is Andrew Brennan, new CEO of Crestline Solutions. Sat up straighter. Okay, I wanted to reach out personally to apologize for how you were treated. What happened was unconscionable. I appreciate that. I also wanted to ask if you'd be interested in returning. We've restructured, made leadership changes. I'd like to offer you Chief Client Officer. 200,000 base. Full leadership seat. Was quiet for a moment. Mr. Brennan, I appreciate the offer. Really, but I'm exactly where I need to be. We could make it worth your while. It's not about money. It's about trust. And that's not something you can buy back. He was quiet. I understand. The offer stands if you change your mind. I won't. But I hope you treat the people still there better than the last regime did. That's the plan. After we hung up, sat in my office looking out at the city, thinking about how different things looked from here. That night, got home at 5:30. Not 6, not 8, not midnight. 5:30. Because my job didn't require me to kill myself anymore. Jake was home doing homework. How was work? He asked when I came in. Really good. And meant it. Later, Jake brought me a permission slip. Engineering summer camp at State University. Registration fee $2,000. Can I do it? Voice small, like he was afraid of the answer. Looked at that form. Thought about the version of me from 6 months ago who would have had to calculate and recalculate. Of course you can. Signed it right there. He hugged me hard enough to crack ribs. After Jake went to bed, poured myself whiskey. Actually drank it this time. Sat on the couch in the quiet apartment and let myself feel it. Relief, pride, satisfaction. Knowledge that I'd made the right call even when it felt terrifying. Phone buzzed. Text from Julian. Board approved your Q3 bonus. Check Friday. Didn't ask how much, just said thank you. When Friday came, and I checked my account, had to read the number 3 times. $38,000. Quarterly performance bonus, more than the annual salary Crestline tried to force me to accept. Called Thomas. Told him everything. He laughed. Said he'd always known I was stronger than I gave myself credit for. 2 years after leaving Crestline, the company folded. Silverbridge sold what remained to a holding company that immediately liquidated assets. 35 employees lost jobs. No severance. Just closed doors and a generic email about market conditions. Heard about it through Amanda. She'd kept in touch with people still there. If I'd stayed, if I'd accepted that $35,000, if I'd believed their promises, I'd be one of those 35 people with nothing. Instead, I was a VP at a company that valued me. With a team I'd built. With financial security I'd earned. With time for Jake and life. And all the things I'd sacrificed thinking that's what dedication looked like. 3 years after leaving, Jake graduated high school, top 5% of his class. Full academic scholarship to study engineering at a school I could never have afforded before. Night before he left, we sat on the couch together. I'm proud of you, I told him. Everything you've accomplished. The person you've become. I learned from you, he said quietly. What do you mean? You showed me what it looks like to know your worth, to not accept less just because someone tells you that's all you deserve. He looked at me. That matters, Dad. Had to look away. Blink a few times. You're going to do amazing things. I know, he said, and smiled, not arrogant, just confident. The kind I'd spent years trying to teach by example, the kind I'd finally figured out myself at 43 when I was running out of options. 4 years after leaving, Horizon Ridge went public. My equity stake was worth just under $2 million on paper. Didn't cash out. Kept my shares. Believed in what we were building. 5 years after leaving, I was sitting in my office when my assistant buzzed. Someone in the lobby asking for me. Wouldn't give a name. Went down. Found a man about my age, professional clothes, tired eyes, holding a folder. He turned when he heard me. Are you Henry Litchfield? I am. My name is Vincent Palmer. I work at Crossfield Analytics. They just cut my salary by half. Told me to accept it or quit. Chest tightened. I know that feeling. I've been following your career. Read about the Crestline situation. About what you built here. He held out the folder. I don't know if you're hiring. Don't know if there's room. But I had to try. Took the folder. Opened it. Saw a resume that looked like mine from 5 years ago. Years of loyalty. Strong performance. Clear competence being treated like it was disposable. We're always looking for good people. Do you have an hour? His eyes got bright. He nodded. Took him upstairs. Sat with him in my office. Listened to his story. Different in details, but same in all the ways that mattered. Someone good being told they weren't worth what they'd been promised. By the end, I'd offered him a position. Senior account manager. Salary 40% more than he'd been making before the cut. Start in 2 weeks. He cried right there. Tried to apologize. I cried too, I said. In my car in a parking garage where nobody could see. Because relief feels a lot like grief when you've been drowning long enough. He wiped his eyes. Nodded. Thank you for taking a chance on me. I'm not taking a chance. I'm making a smart hire. There's a difference. After he left, sat at my desk thinking about circles, about how what goes around comes around, about how the best thing you can do with a second chance is create opportunities for others to have theirs. 7 years after leaving Crestline, I stood on a conference stage, 400 people in the audience. Topic: Building sustainable client relationships in an age of disruption. Told them my story. Not all of it. Just enough. The salary cut. The decision. The jump. Building something better. Afterward, a line formed. People wanting advice, wanting to know how to do what I'd done. Talked to every single one, gave them my card, told them to reach out. One man, probably mid-40s, exhausted eyes barely holding it together, waited until everyone else left. They cut my salary last week. I don't know what to do. I know that feeling. What's your name? Michael. Michael, let me tell you something. The scared feeling you have right now? That's your survival instinct trying to wake you up. Listen to it. But I have kids. Bills. I can't just walk away. Neither could I. But I did. And it was the best decision I ever made. He looked at me. Eyes wet. How did you know it would work out? I didn't. But I knew staying wouldn't work out. So the choice wasn't between certain and uncertain. It was between two kinds of uncertain. I picked the one where I was fighting for myself. He nodded, wrote down my information, thanked me, walked away. Don't know if he left his job, don't know if he took the risk, but I hope he did. Hope he learned what I learned. That loyalty to yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. 10 years after leaving Crestline, I retired from Horizon Ridge, 53 years old, financially secure, ready to spend time on things I'd put off for decades. Last day was emotional. My CEO gave a speech about impact and leadership and leaving things better than you found them. My team gave me a gift, photo album full of pictures from the last 10 years. Projects completed. Clients landed. People hired and watched grow. Last page had a note. You showed us what it looks like to fight for ourselves. Thank you for that. Thank you for everything. Made it to my car before I started crying. That night, sat on my back porch. Glass of whiskey. Quiet evening. Thinking about everything. 12 years at Crestline. 10 at Horizon Ridge. 22 years of working, building, learning what mattered. The lesson was simple. Your value isn't determined by what someone offers to pay you. It's determined by what you're willing to accept. The moment you stop accepting less than you deserve, everything changes. That's what happened in that conference room 10 years ago, when Dennis slid a folder across the table and told me I was worth $35,000. He was wrong. And thank God I knew it, because the man who walked out of that room wasn't the same man who walked in. He was someone who'd finally learned to fight for himself, to trust his own value even when everyone else tried to diminish it. That man built something real, something lasting, something that mattered. Yeah, the biggest rival called that night, offered me $155,000, changed my life in ways I'm still processing. But the real change happened before that call. The real change was deciding to leave, deciding I was worth more than what they offered, deciding that loyalty worked both ways, or it didn't work at all. That's the story. That's what I'd tell anyone sitting where I sat 10 years ago, scared, uncertain, running numbers that don't work. You're worth more than this. You always were. Now go prove it to yourself, because once you do that, everything else falls into place. Finished my whiskey, set the glass down, sat in the quiet evening feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Complete and total peace. Not because everything was perfect, but because I'd fought for myself when it mattered most, and that made all the difference.